Chapter 4. Hunger versus Appetite. Many efforts have been made to explain the mechanism by which the sense of hunger is produced, but none has been satisfactory. In my opinion, for higher animals at least, there can be no doubt that hunger is felt through the nervous system, but this is at best a general statement. What the sensation of hunger actually is has been the subject of much speculation. For all practical purposes here, it is necessary for us primarily to distinguish between the genuine sensation of hunger and the many other sensations that are often mistaken for hunger. Unfortunately, too many physiological investigations into hunger are limited to studies of short periods without food, a few days at the most, not enough to give a clear picture of the manner in which the body's demand for food manifests itself. It is interesting to note that trained physiologists still describe hunger in most cases in almost pathological terminology. Hunger is a sense of distress or discomfort in the region of the stomach. It may be an actual pain. It expresses itself in hunger pangs. It is gnawing in the stomach, and, quote, all gone, unquote, feeling, a sense of weakness. All these are part of the popular mythology of hunger. Even headache is sometimes mistaken for hunger, and even by some trained practitioners. The truth is that hunger is a normal, not an abnormal sensation, and all normal sensations are pleasant. It is an error to think of hunger in the terms of symptoms of disease, just as it would be to think of thirst or any other of the body's normal desires as painful or uncomfortable. Normal hunger is indicated by a general bodily condition, a universal call for food, which is localized, so far as localizing takes place, in the mouth, nose, and throat, just as in the sense of thirst. There are no, quote, hunger pangs, unquote, associated with genuine hunger. There is only a pleasant sensation in the nose, mouth, and throat, and a watering of the mouth. The hungry person is conscious of a desire for food, not of pain or irritation. It is a false appetite that manifests itself by morbid irritation, gnawing in the stomach, pain, the feeling of weakness, and various emotionally rooted discomforts. The dissimilarities between such irritations and a true sense of hunger are quite sharp. The average person, tied to the habit of eating at all hours of the day and night, rarely permits himself to become hungry and consequently mistakes these morbid sensations for a valid call for food. As eating commonly relieves symptoms of distress, the individual becomes convinced that food was just the thing needed. Often it is a kind of eating binge. The individual eats to cover up the psychological miseries, as the drunkard drinks to drown his. True hunger is selective rather than indiscriminate. It does not gulp greedily, but frequently demands a specific type of food. On the other hand, it does not demand, quote, luxurious dishes, unquote, as appetite tends to do, but is satisfied with plain fare. The compulsive eater, who is not genuinely hungry, is often plagued with vague longings to eat, without knowing exactly what he wants to eat. Usually he wants something highly stimulating to his taste buds, well-seasoned, exotic. Hunger is intermittent and manifests when there is a need for food. It is never continuous. Individuals who are, quote, always hungry, unquote, are really displaying pathological symptoms. Am I implying that most people do not really know when they are hungry? I am indeed. Beginning almost with birth and the 3 times a day stuffing program that is common to our so-called modern civilization, average individuals and average communities never experience genuine hunger. Since hunger is the normal indication of a need for food, it may be taken for granted that when hunger is lacking, no immediate need exists. Either the need is not present or the actual ability to make use of raw materials is absent. In the absence of hunger, there is no natural or normal reason why food should be taken. There are ample grounds for believing that the digestive system is in the best state to receive and digest food when the real hunger is present, and that when hunger is absent, the digestive processes are slowed or suspended. We have cultivated the habit of eating by the clock to such a point that we often persist in ignoring even a strong repugnance to food. Hungry or not, we eat as a matter of routine, as social activity, because we have nothing else to do, or because eating seems to relieve some of our worries. The most important rule in our eating habits, and indeed in our daily lives, is this: never force food into the stomach, either in health or in sickness, unless there is a definite demand for it, as manifested by genuine hunger. In adults, alcohol, tobacco, coffee, a protracted sexual episode, strong emotions, and enervation all result in a loss of normal desire for food. Pain, fever, and inflammation cause one to lose his desire to eat, as does abdominal distress. There is no better way for an adult to meet this situation than to refrain from eating until there is a return of hunger, until the breath is sweet, the tongue is clean, and there is a keen relish for food. Food should be taken only when there is a comfort and poise. In acute disease, hunger is not present for the simple reason that the energies of the organism have been diverted into other channels. There is no energy to spare to carry on work like digestion that can temporarily be dispensed with. Not only is nervous energy diverted to the task at hand, but there also is diversion of the blood to parts requiring extra blood for the unusual action. Digestion is suspended in such a mighty effort, just as it is when one engages in strenuous physical effort such as running. Yet food is often taken at such times under the medical dictum that we must eat to keep our strength. In such instances, the food is sometimes thrown up, or may be rushed out of the digestive tract by means of diarrhea. If not expelled in these ways, it becomes a burden in the digestive tract, further adding to the poisoning of the body. Even where the unusable food materials may be expelled from the body, the effort of the body to get rid of the unwanted nourishment lessens the efficiency of the body's defensive and expulsive efforts in progress against the cause of the disease. Forces are diverted from the work of healing and wastefully expended in an effort that could be avoided by the simple expedient of fasting. This partial and temporary suspension of the remedial effort slows up recovery of the patient. Indeed, the repugnance of food that is present may slightly be regarded as a, quote, closed for repairs, unquote, sign placed at the entrance of the digestive tract. It should be heeded. Sometimes we think we want food when we are sick, but this is a false desire that, if satisfied, increases our suffering. I recall a personal experience as a teenager. I suffered with a slight fever, malaise, foul breath, a bad taste in my mouth, and general discomfort. In obedience to my inclination under the condition, I went to bed. But I was hungry, or thought I was. I thought I wanted sardines. I wanted them so badly I could almost taste them. I demanded sardines. My mother didn't think sardines would be advisable for a sick boy, but, like other youngsters, I had learned that if I protested long enough, my parents would, quote, give in, unquote, even against their better judgment. I continued my demand for sardines. Finally, my mother sent to a nearby store and purchased a can of sardines. She arranged them on a dish and brought them to my bedside. I took one small taste and gave the dish back to my mother. I found that I did not really want anything. My body wanted no food. Even though I knew nothing of fasting in those days, I instinctively fasted and was soon well without taking any drugs. I have seen parents employ many means of coercion and persuasion in their endeavors to get sick infants and children to eat in spite of their refusal. A common mode of persuasion with children is to bribe them with promises of toys, candies, or baseball mitts. Quote, eat this for your mother, unquote, runs the common plea. Quote, the doctor wants you to eat this, unquote. Quote, if you do not eat this, you can't get well, unquote. It is only ignorance that permits us to browbeat sick children with such false, quote, truisms, unquote. The chronic illness, the individual may believe he is hungry, but his sensations are, in fact, nothing more than irritations of the digestive tract. These morbid symptoms end when the individual fasts. If the desire to eat was real indication of need for food, the symptom pangs would increase as the fast progressed. The fact that the, quote, hunger, unquote, ceases and the patient becomes comfortable is a sure indication that they have no relation to genuine hunger. The statement sometimes heard that hunger ceases on the third day of the fast implies that true hunger is present during the first 2 days of the fast. This is usually not true. It is gastric irritation that ceases on the second, third, or fourth day of the fast.